Out of all of the colleges and universities in Pennsylvania, we are ranked in the top 2 for service to our military veterans and dependents. We are one of 2 in the entire state of Pennsylvania. 1,100 individuals are served through Noel's effort, through your peers' efforts at some of our 5 campuses. And so that's quite a lot to be proud of. And Adam, thank you for recognizing the good work of Noel and others like him in serving our veterans and their dependents. As Kathy said, we're between the Veteran Administration Hospital, which is a very important entity in this community, and Indiantown Gap. So we are really right in the middle of where an awful lot happens when it comes to veteran support. And I'm very happy to say that under Kathy's leadership, we are trying to do more and more with our veterans. And so when you come back to begin your baccalaureate studies, Tim, you may be able to do it here. You know, recently we signed an articulation agreement with Central Penn College, where you can get your associate's degree in criminal justice here and then finish with a bachelor's degree from Central Penn right on this property. The last thing that I would like to say is, you know, there was a quote that Bob Kerrey, some of you may remember Bob Kerrey when he was running for president. He said that it's really important for us to honor our military personnel who are there to represent us and to protect our freedom, and to our veterans as well. But not only to care for them when they're a warrior, but to also care for them as husband and as father and as a member of our community. And so today, Daryl, I hope that in some ways this recognition that the college receives is going to not only honor our veterans who are with us, but also those who are in Iraq and Afghanistan and Kuwait, that it'll represent you know, the work that we have to do with them as well, to make sure that they know that this is a good place for them to return to get their education as they continue their career either in the military or out of the military. So again, I want to welcome all of you to our favorite campus. I want to welcome our favorite legislators. And what I'd like to do now is introduce you to our Director of Military and Veteran Affairs, Adam Walter, who, by the way, submitted this application for us. Thank you. Thank you.
A little bit of my history. I'm also part of the Pennsylvania Air National Guard, so the Air Force side of the house, stationed at the 193rd down in Middletown. I've deployed twice, and my most recent tour was in 2009 while I was an employee at HACC. I worked for a couple of other employers during my tour, and HACC, I felt, treated me a lot better. I say a lot better. They all treated the service members, the employees, but HACC went above and beyond. Absolutely. Their policies for leave of absence, for military leave of absence, with the military, you just never know when things are going to be called up. You never know what's going on. And I felt with HACC, when I had notified them of my orders of being called to active duty to go overseas, you know, human resources, the payroll office, all those stepped forward and says, okay, here's what you need to do. Made my transition out very smooth. Worked with my supervisor to make sure the transition with Alan went very smooth. And then also, when I returned home, making sure the transition back into work, back to taking care of our veterans here, was very smooth. And it was. It was perfect. Their policies here at HACC, their APs, if you will, go over and beyond what the law states. The law states you have to do this, you have to do this. But here, they worked with more of a personal side. They worked for, or they helped me with the pay. Got to take care of the family. Those policies there exceeded. My supervisor actually touched base with me to call my wife, making sure my family at home was still doing well here while I was away. So those little nuggets, if you will, as I talk to my veterans, I call them these little nuggets of insight, really shone. And I am proud to say I worked for HACC. I am proud to say that I'm able to serve over 800 veterans each semester, overall 1,100 with dependents, and all of these families. And as we work with Tim, and coming in and out, like I just mentioned, I worked on his paperwork over and over again. And it's great to say, hey, I'm glad that you went to HACC. Being an alumni myself, and also I deployed in 2005, that transition as a student was very, very accomplished. And I was not in this role at this time. But again, student side and employee side. So again, I also want to thank Daryl Ham, as he's here to present. Again, this application was a couple of years in the making, but I'm glad that he's here to present this. So on that note, I would like to ask Mr. Ham to come on up.
Members of the National Guard and all reserve components of our armed forces and their civilian employers form an alliance that is really essential to our nation's national security. These brave men and women perform critical roles in disaster relief efforts, both at home and continue to serve around the world to ensure our freedom. They could not perform their critical mission without support from employers like the Harrisburg Area Community College. As you all know, that we are in a time, and we have been for quite a period of time, an all-voluntary military force. And it's essential that we have this relationship between employers and those that serve, particularly in the reserve components and the National Guard. The guards persons and reservists, they have so much to concern themselves when they get called to do a period of training, but more importantly, when they get called for long periods of service for deployment. Sergeant Albright, I commend you again for, I believe you mentioned this will be your third deployment to the Middle East. And I thank you for your service and I salute you for that. The point I'm making is that they have a lot to worry about. They have family concerns. Who's taking care of the house? Who's taking care of my family? The last thing they need to worry about is my employer going to be happy with me when I return? And am I going to encounter difficulty? Am I going to be received warmly when I come back? Obviously, it's the latter here at the Harrisburg Area Community College. And really, this ceremony recognizes the HACC as an employer for all the extraordinary things that Adam described that were done for him, and I suspect with others in like circumstances at HACC. But this doesn't happen just by recognizing, and this doesn't happen by the compliance with the law and the statute. On the state side, with the Guard, particularly the Army Guard and the Air National Guard, there's also a state mission to provide disaster relief that really is under the call of the governor. And there is similar legislation in place from the Commonwealth of a like nature with Guards persons that become involved in those state call-ups as well. So at this time, I would ask Dr. Ski and Adam to come forward, and I'd like to make the presentation. Dr. Ski, on behalf of Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta, and from the Office of the Secretary of Defense, employer support of the Guard and Reserve, recognizes Harrisburg Area Community College as a patriotic employer for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Force, and is signed by our National Chair and our Executive Director, Ron Young, employer support of Guard and Reserve. Along with that, I would like to present a ESGR lapel pin to Dr. Ski to wear and display prominently as a patriotic employer. Well, thank you. And I trust with the award, with this beautiful plaque, that you will display it in a prominent place that tells the HACC world about the wonderful things you do as a patriotic employer.
We'll do that. Thank you, Daryl.